So the goal for today is to write an HTML tokenizer, which is part of the first part in the HTML parser stack. And it's going to be hopefully spec compliant. So we are going to work with the official HTML specification by the web working group. And I'm going to use the Zig programming language. It's one of those rather new languages that are trying to replace C. It's really interesting, really fun to program in. I have written some code in Zig maybe half a year ago, 6 months. And I have also written an HTML tokenizer before that was maybe 8 months ago. So I don't expect to have too many difficulties programming this. It should be possible to do it in one go. Okay, so I suppose I should start by setting up a project. Let's call it HTML tokenizer for lack of a better name. And then I think we do zig init exe. At some point I want to make this a library so I can use it in web engine code that I'm writing. But for now, let's make it an executable just so we can play around with it more easily. So let's see if everything works fine. If our Zig installation is correct, and that does seem to be the case. I think all your code base are belong to us. That's part of the Hello World Zig program. Let's actually see what that looks like. Main.zig. Right. We have a std debug print. And what is it? Oh, so this one is actually on standard out. Okay, fair. And this is how we could write a unit test. Okay, so let's first specify what it is that we're actually doing. So I want to have an HTML file that could look like this. HTML body, and then let's put a div in there, like div id equal hi, and then I want to close that div again. I'm going to close the body tag, and then close the HTML tag. So something simple like this. I guess I do need to give it a file name. HTML. How do I write it as a single file? Let's just start again. Index.html. And then I want to copy this over. Right, now we get syntax highlighting. Okay, so I want to have a simple HTML file like this. I guess I can make it a little more complex, like the head could contain some. I'm not sure if the head is even allowed to contain text, so let's just put like hello world in here. And I don't think this is completely spec compliant because we technically don't have a doctype tag. So no doctype HTML or whatever it looks like. But the HTML specification is made to handle that, so that should not be an issue. And I guess the first thing that we should do is maybe try and load this file, this index.html file that we've created. And we should probably try and load it into Zig, just so we can, let's delete the testing code, just so that's probably a first step where we should get started. Okay, how do we do file IO in Zig? I have no idea, to be honest. But luckily, there's quite a good documentation. This is probably the standard library. Back when I used Zig half a year ago, the standard library documentation was basically non-existent, so it's going to be quite exciting to see if it's gotten any better. stdfs file is probably what we're looking for. So I'm looking for like an open function, some function that allows me to open a file. Don't see anything. Oh, right. If I recall correctly, you needed to first get a directory with like the current. You need to get a reference to the current working directory, and then from that directory, you could open a file. So maybe there's just some example online, file IO example. Read zig by example. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Yeah, right. You first get the current working directory, and then once you have that, you can create a file in there and you can open files and stuff. Okay, let's keep this open on the side. And then we have the standard library already imported up here. And main can return an error. That's what the exclamation mark means. So let's try var source, let's call it HTML source file, or just HTML file equals it's a bit larger. I should probably make the text a bit larger too, so you can actually read it, I suppose, on the video. HTML file equal try std.fs.current working directory dot. Okay, so let's see how I can open a file. So this returns a dir, and then on the dir we can supposedly open a file. Open dir, open dir w, open file. Opens a file for reading or writing without attempting to create a new file. Right, that's what we want. We don't want to create a new file. If this file doesn't exist, then we want to just error out. Looking for open file. And then I want index.html. And I want to be able to read it, but not write to it. So that's .read equal true. Actually, let's check. If I recall correctly, there was a tool called Segformat that would try and format your code. So just Segformat maybe. Segformat. Segformat source main.sig. Do I need to give it a file name? Oh, right. Okay. So that's how we can do that. And now we probably have the HTML file. So how do I read from it? If I get a file from here, let's make this larger, and then I probably want to call the reader, right? Or actually, read all is probably sufficient, but then I need to pass it a buffer. Can I read to end alloc options? That sounds reasonable. Reads all the bytes from the current position to the end of the file. On success, the caller wants to return buffer, right? If the file is larger than max bytes, returns error, right? If size hint is specified, the initial buffer size is calculated using that value. Otherwise, an arbitrary value is used instead. Allows specifying alignment and a sentinel value. Oh, so this is exactly what I want. I want the function to allocate the memory for me, and then I can deallocate it at any point. Okay, so now I need an allocator. That's one of the standard patterns in Zig, that you need to create your own allocators, and you need to pass the allocators around to functions that want to allocate memory. Right. And you do it like this: general purpose allocator equals standard. Okay, so we want to just create a default allocator, and then with the defer, actually, no, this one, the GPA is the actual allocator. It's just like a build-up pattern or whatever. I don't really understand it. Okay. This is allocator setup. So what this does is it creates a general purpose allocator, so some simple allocator algorithm. And then with the defer keyword, we check when main exits that all the memory that has been allocated is also now deallocated. So no memory is allocated, because everything that would still be allocated would be a memory leak, which we don't want. Okay, so now I can use the read end to alloc function, hopefully. So this is var HTML source equal HTML file dot read to end alloc options. Read to end alloc options. This sounds a bit like there's a simpler function, some read to end without alloc options. Is that maybe the case? Read all, just, we need a buffer for that. Okay, not going to do that. Okay, so it does look like we do need to do that. And so the first argument is the allocator. In this case, this would be GPA. Do we give it a reference? I am not sure how these things work anymore. Not sure if that's even the correct syntax to create a reference in SIG. Max bytes. Do I even want to give it a max size? Not really. Because I can just set it to like hex 1000 for now. And then if that ever causes problems, we can still adjust it later. Okay, size hint. We don't know how large the size is. I think this is the SIG syntax for an optional type. So let's quickly look up how these work again. Optional value. Right, optional values are just prefixed with a question mark, and they can be null. Sure. So we don't know how large the file is, so we want to pass null. Then the next argument is the alignment. But I don't know the alignment. I guess it's like, not sure how to call this function. Maybe there's some example of it online. I haven't programmed SIG in a while, so it's kind of difficult for me to understand how to call these functions. That just links to the standard library. Slice. Oh, there is a read to end alloc. Why did I not see that earlier? Oh, it's right here. Don't mind me. Okay, and in that case we can save the size hint and everything else after that. That's quite nice. Okay, and now I now have a string that is, what are the character pointer? Oh, to be really correct, it's a byte slice as far as I know. Oh, in our case, it's not actually a slice because we own the memory, right? Okay, so I want to defer HTML source.free. I think that's how you do it. And of course, I also want to do that for the file. Defer myFile.close. Defer HTML file.close. Okay, so now I want to print that string. How do I do that? Unfortunately, I deleted all the example code. SIG printf. Right, I want to do std debug print. Guess I can look in the standard library documentation. std debug. Assert, nope. I want print, there we go. So it's a format string and then we have the args, right. I remember how to do this. std.debug.print, and I want to print the HTML source, so I guess %s with a new line after it just to be correct, and then the HTML source. And this needs to be an object because SIG does not have macros. do nice zig code. Is zig happy? Doesn't look like anything changed, so I'm happy. Okay, and then let's do zig build run to execute it. And of course we have some errors. No field named read and struct fs file open flags. But I copied that code. I did not write it myself. So what is it called then? Open flags. Dot read only. Read only. Is that correct? No field name dot zero. Okay, so I want. Is it maybe mode? Alright, the syntax was a bit iffy. Dot mode dot read only. I think that's. Alright, so we're getting another error. Incompatible types bool and type of enum literal. So this is a boolean and this is an enum literal. For the general purpose allocator. Suppose it returns true if everything is fine, but I do want to make sure. General purpose allocator. And the init returns true if there were leaks, false otherwise. Why is... Oh, so I probably want the newest version, right? Because this is using zig 11, but I'm using zig 10. Okay, so how do I use this fancy new version? Download. Language reference standard. That's a alright, package manager. I want a package manager. And then it's probably classic Edge. Okay. Snap zig. Let's remove the old installation first, just so we don't end up with any stupid conflicts. And let's install the bleeding edge. And just as an example of what I would expect this HTML file to look like, it should be something like a tag HTML, something like tag open, then tag open head, tag close head, and so on. So it should, all the white space and this unnecessary information that's in the HTML here should all be removed, and it should just be an array of enums or tag unions with these different tag information, and then maybe there's some text in here, like text hello world, and maybe one of these has an attribute foo bar or whatever. So something like that should be the final result. Okay. So do we have the correct version now? That looks a lot better. Zig build run. We'll have to rebuild everything, of course, because no field or member standard release. Oh, why is it different? Oh, that's so ugly. So I guess I'll have to zig init exe again. How can I do that without zig? Let's just hope it doesn't break anything. Yes, remove build.zig. I do not care. Zig init exe. Copy source main zig. Let's just call it test. Rf source zig init exe. And now we can go back and save this again. then I can actually remove the test file. Okay, so now we should be able to run it. Unless there's another error, there is another error. Okay, the following command failed with one compilation error. 0 5 steps. Oh, it's gotten a lot fancier. The compiler is really fancy now. 0 out of 5 steps succeeded, 1 failed. Expected type mem allocator found const mem allocator. So it doesn't want a reference, it wants the entire thing, I guess. Fair enough, go for it. Okay, so I can't free it like this. Unused argument in %s, but it's not unused. But why is it unused? I do have the HTML source. I guess we should figure out the free function first. Okay, let's just look up a basic sig string tutorial. Just how to work with characters. Hello, right. So these are character slices, byte slices in this case. So how do I free those? Is it maybe gpa.free? Detect leaks? Actually, should I maybe replace this with detect leaks? Because detect leaks sounds like it gives me some more information than the init. It returns whether there were any leaks, so I would expect this to be false. And then I want to call detect leaks. Okay, so this still doesn't explain to me how I can free stuff. Zig free memory. The freedom of memory standard patterns. Defer allocator.free, but is that not what I did? Huh? So the heap, this doesn't have an. Oh, do I need the backing allocator? Maybe the documentation is just wrong. Let me close this window really quickly. Maybe the documentation is wrong. gpa.free HTML source. Access of union field pointer. So I suppose this read to end alloc can fail. Probably. So I need to handle the error. Read to end alloc. Right, this can fail, so I need to try. And now we only have one error. And this should be easy enough to figure out. I'm sure there's some hello world example here that debug prints. Surely. Basics. This is very basic. Oh look, there's even some more string stuff. I'm not looking for 4. Reachable pointer slices, structs, blah 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 blah. Zig std debug print. I'm sure it's something stupid that I'm doing wrong. Std debug. Oh, I need to use the parentheses. the brackets. I am not sure why that is. I suppose it's a bit more modern syntax. It's used by Rust as well. Sig build run. And there we go. We have the file. Finally. Okay. So now I want to, I guess I should explain how the HTML tokenizer actually works internally. It's actually surprisingly simple because the tokenizer is really just one huge state machine. So it has all of these different states that are up here. See, it's quite a lot of them. Data, RC data, raw text, all of these different states. And it starts out in the data state, I think. Maybe there's some initial state, not really sure. And on each state, we have this kind of switch that consumes some input characters. Most often, it's just the next input character, but sometimes it looks ahead a little. Right. So we consume the next input character, and then depending on what it is, we do some action and switch to another state, or we don't do anything. So I suppose the first thing that I could model is a token, because that seems easy enough to get started on. Tokens are basically what is emitted by the tokenizer, and our final result should be a list of tokens. Let's see if there's some chapter for tokens. Nope, there is none. But I'm sure it's explained somewhere what a token is, right? There must be like a list of possible tokens, surely. Implementations must act as if they use the following state machine to tokenize HTML. Alright, so we do start in the data state. So we can reconsume, we have a temporary buffer, we have a return state. So there must be a list of the tokens, of what possible tokens can be emitted. I suppose Control F token is not going to parsing tokens in HTML content. Overview of the parsing model. Right, so this is more or less what I just explained. It's quite complicated because while you're running the tokenizer and parsing the HTML, you could also execute JavaScript, which could then add new text to the HTML document. So you would have to tokenize that new text as well, and it's all quite painful. But we're not going to worry about any of that for now. We're also not going to worry about character encoding. We are just going to assume that everything is UTF-8 or maybe even ASCII if we're really lazy. But I do want a list of... This is HTML. No, this is not HTML parsing. Where is a list of possible tokens? Creating and so this is HTML. This is the actual HTML3 building stage, right? But there has to be a list of tokens. This is really weird. Maybe I just can't find it right now. I'll look in the thing that I've written earlier, my old code, and just see if I can have any spec comments in there. It's in web HTML source tokenizer. So there are the only tokenizer states. We're going to have to model that as well. But there's actually no reference to what a token really is. I can't believe that. End tag open state. mean, the HTML spec is so polished. There's no way they didn't put a list of possible tokens there. Maybe it's in the past state. The output of the tokenization step is a series of 0 or more of the following tokens: doc type, start tag, end tag, comment, character, and a file. And then they all have some different information. Okay, so we will likely want to use a tagged union for this. I do know that Zig has those, so let's look them up. Zig tagged union. Union, tagged union. So, so you declare the tag as a separate enum, and then you can use it as a tag inside the union. That's quite fancy, honestly, because it means that you can use the tag even if you're not using the actual union. That is quite useful. That is a feature that I did want for Rust quite a few times. Okay, so let's create a new file for this. Let's call it source, maybe token.rs.zig. And then we want a token type tag. Maybe just token tag. Token tag is good enough for now. And this should be an enum. Semicolon. I do need a semicolon after that. And then we have a doc type. What were the others? I already forgot. Where was that? That's really annoying. When you resize the window, it jumps a little. See how I'm on the stack of open elements now, and if I resize it, no idea what the stack of open elements is. That's really quite annoying. But okay, we have a doc type, a start tag, and end tag. Start tag, end tag. Comment, character. End of file. It's okay to use some more characters. Let's make this a bit bigger for now. Okay. And then each of these contains some different data, right? So where's the tagged union example? There. Okay. So we want a tag union, and look at this, const tag equals a union, and we want to use the token tag as a tag for our union. And doc type, I think I can declare inline structs, but I'm not quite sure how that works. I know that it's possible to basically Zig inline struct declaration. I think I can just write this as a data type. I think that's legal in Zig. Zig is quite flexible with data types, which is really, really comfortable to work with. So what data does the doc type contain? A name, which should probably be a string. So I'm not quite sure how you actually represent strings. Zig string. I know that there's quite a few ways to do it. 6 strings in 5 minutes. We already looked at this. Array of bytes, null terminated string literal. Yep. Note that these references are to the bytes, not the characters. Oh, I can concatenate them like this. Okay. So I want some dynamically allocated memory. So can I, that will be stored in an alternate byte array. Global data, that's, and you can't meet with this literal strings content like this. Okay, but what does alloc print, for example, return? Alloc print. It returns. Oh, so it's literally, the syntax is like this. This is just a byte array. Nice. Or byte vector actually, because the size is no. Cool. Of course, memory management, quite an issue. But I think we can work with that. The doc type has a name, a public identifier, a system identifier. Public identifier, which is also a string. System identifier, which is also a string. A force quirks flag, that's a boolean. Must be marked as missing, which is a distinct state from the empty string. I don't think Sig allows these to be null, so I should prefix them with a question mark because they are optional. They can miss, basically. And the force quirks flag must be set to off. Its other start state is on. Start and end tokens. Okay, so these are the other ones. And should I model them as separate tags? Let's just call it a tag, and then we can give it like a boolean attribute of is closing or is opening, so we don't have to duplicate our code. So the tag should also be a struct, and it should contain a tag name, a self-closing flag, and a list of attributes, each of which has a name and a value. Okay, so it's a tag name. Those cannot be missing. Can be an empty string, but it cannot be missing. Self-closing is a boolean. And then is opening bool. That's our custom tag that just describes if it's opening. And then I want a list of attributes. So that would be, how would I do that? Like attribute, list of attributes. And then I could declare a const attribute equals struct with a key, that's a string, and a value, that's a string. Right? I think that's how it works. Cool. And then what other types do we have? We have a comment. Comment and character tokens have data. Well, that isn't very helpful. Okay, I suppose to write an actually useful tokenizer, we would want to vary about Unicode, right? Because right now we use byte slices everywhere, which is not really that great. But for now, I think it's fine to only care about ASCII. So a comment would have a struct and I guess I can call it data. It's not really the greatest name ever, but that's okay. And then a character token would just be a single U8. Actually, this doesn't need to be a struct. I can just do it like this. And is that all of them? Right, the end of file is just unit. The end of file doesn't have any data. And then I need to import it. Const token import token.sig. Is that how you do it? Sig build run. Okay. Wonder if I can debug print this. Okay. Let me quickly drink something. It is quite exhausting to talk all the time. Okay. So let's, guess I should maybe test it a little. How can I define a function for a token? Can I even do that? Sig associated function. It's quite interesting to see just how much I've forgotten. Functions inside functions? No. I just want to associate a function. I don't think this is what I want. This is quite interesting to see. Oh, it has the really nice syntax for switches. That's so cool. I love it. Okay, how do I print the struct? Is there some inherent debug? Provide a way to format structs in a nested manner. It only prints the struct one level, which is understandable as a default, but it would be nice if there was some other way. So that's a duplicate. I just want an example of how you even print it. How do I even construct a union? Is the question. Union. Where's the union? I am not looking for the union. There it is. Tagged union. Complex type. Oh, okay. Okay. So I could create a token like this. Var example token and then dot. For example, if I wanted to create a tag, I could say dot tag equals and then the tags have do it like this, but let's try it anyways. Or rather, is opening, let's say, true? Oh no, I know how to do it with the equal sign, not with the colon, because sig is special and sig just has to do it its own way. And there's no real reason to call this tag name because we're inside a struct and inside the tag structs. Let's do it like this. Foo. And I do want to. Don't know if sig actually reorders the structs, the struct fields. So let's put this small ones at the end. Attribute should just be the empty thing. Should be attributes also. Self-closing equal false. Okay, so how do I allocate the string? How do I allocate an empty list? Do I even need to allocate an empty list? Is this even correct? It might not be. I might. Doesn't the standard library have some kind of list? Yeah, right. I probably want std array list. Contiguous scrollable list of items in memory. This is a wrapper around an array of t values initialized with init. Right. So I don't want this to be a thing. I just want it to be an std.arraylist. How do I get the type? Is it in it? Oh no, there's a function that's also called ArrayList, right? I'm starting to remember how these sig patterns work. ArrayList. Or not. How do I get the type? Oh, this is already the function. Oh, okay. Ah, it's all coming back to me here. Yeah, okay. So I also need to import standard in here. And then I want to initialize it with an allocator. Init. Deinitialize with deinit. I use 2 on slice. Right, so I want to make this an std.arraylist of token attribute, and then I want to init it with our allocator GPA. And if I do this, then it should work, but it should error out because I'm leaking the memory, and it does not work. Unused local variable. All right, I remember. This is really annoying about Zig. It takes unused variables as errors, which is, I really don't like that. I don't like this one bit. If it's a warning, that's completely fine. But erroring out, I think, is unreasonable. Token is not marked public. Of course, it should be public. These should all be public because I want to work with them in the actual HTML parser at some point. Expected type U8 found const. Oh, okay. So I actually need to allocate the string. I had a string tutorial, right? I don't want to use alloc print. Zig allocate array. I just want to allocate a string. How do I do that? I want to dynamically allocate it. Beginner's notes, right? I am a beginner. I need these. pointer to a single t. Okay, that I knew that much. But I'm pretty sure that you're not supposed to use the... Isn't allocation fallable? Allocation.alloc. If I go to general purpose allocator, what? Access denied? Excuse me? That seems like a bug that we should probably report at some point. How do I allocate a string? Can I build the standard library documentation myself? Zig allocates string on heap. I want to take this string and put it on the heap. Right, I can do it like this with allocator.alloc, I know that. But I want to explicitly allocate a string, and surely there's a simple way to do it. I mean, there's no way anything of that. Oh, that's interesting. Defer is not actually executed right before the return, it's executed after the return. That's interesting, I didn't know that. I thought the compiler just copied it to the end to any exit point of the function. Interesting. That's actually quite nice. I like it. Why can't I access this? So this is quite annoying now. Can I maybe access the allocator directly? std mem allocator. Oh, I can do that. That's fun. Alloc. Content type. Right. Alloc central. And I don't want to have a zero terminated string. Or do I want to have a zero term? Because this is pretty clearly for strings, right? Okay, never mind. It's not actually for strings. I thought it sounded useful. I just want to find out how to take a string and put it on the heap. Perhaps I should look at some of my old SIG code. Because I know that I did some string manipulation in there. Probably inside uci.sig. Alright, I should make this const. That's right. Because of course you're not supposed to modify them once they're set. try read until. This is a chess engine that I wrote half a year ago, by the way. std.format.format move.toString. Actually, right now it shouldn't really care whether this is on the heap or on the stack, right? So can I maybe slice it or something? Let's just Google the arrow. Google is usually useful. Zig. It doesn't take ownership of the strings you put into it. It only takes slices, which is a pointer plus a length. So when you deallocate the strings to a loop, you invalidate the slices that you just added into the array list. Alloc print. So is the right way to use this is alloc print? Huh. That's curious. Actually, maybe not. But alloc print is one way to do it, and I guess since I currently don't really care. Const name equals std dot, what does it, alloc print? No. std dot format dot alloc print, and that needs a try because it allocates and it can fail. And I want to use the GPY, and I want the format foo, and no arguments. And I guess with Zig's fancy compile time magic, this should actually compile down to what I wanted. But it looks a bit unexpected. Of course, now I don't need these slices anymore. I can just do name. I need to actually write the file. No field named attribute in struct token.attributes, of course. Invalid format string s for type token. Right, so how do I debug print a struct? I know that this is possible. Wait, what? Alright, so now it's complaining that we leaked memory, which is reasonable because, you know, we did leak memory. Okay, and now I want to maybe create a function that is easier to work with. So a constructor function for a token. How can I do that? I suppose I should look at structs. Oh, so I just put a function here. That's quite fancy. I like that. That is quite nice. So I could go in here. I just do pop function new tag, maybe. Actually, maybe I might want to put these out of line, these definitions. Because if you look at the debug output as well, I get this ugly struct 4575. It's not really nice for debug output. So let's define the doc type and the tag outside of the union. Doc type equals structs. Then we put everything from here into here. Const tag, which is also a struct, and that should, everything in here should go into there. And now you should just be a doc type. This is a bit ugly because the identifier is the same as the type name, but I don't think I can really do anything about that. Here should be a constituate. Cool. And then I can do pub function new token. No, I want to do it here. That's why I put the definition out of line in the first place. Pub function new, and I want a name, which is of course const u8. And attributes, I don't want any attributes for now. And I want self closing, which is a boolean. And I want is opening, which is also a boolean. And then this can't fail because it allocates. It doesn't allocate. Everything that we get is already allocated. So is there something? All right, there was something like some common pattern like const self equal at this, I think it was. And then this can return self. Mm-hmm. Attributes. Oh, I need an allocator for the attributes. Actually, maybe I don't need a constructor function. Yeah, maybe I don't. I mean, for now, I at least for sure, and I only need a dinit function. Dinit in self, and it can it fail? I don't know. Let's find out. And I want to deallocate. So how does ArrayVec do this? The array list keeps a reference to the allocator around, I think. Right. It keeps a reference, but we don't want every token to keep the allocator. That's not really that nice. Does it actually do this? Isn't this quite a waste of memory then? If every list keeps a reference to the allocator around, that's quite a lot of wasted data, no? Clear and free. Surely there's like a zig struct init pattern. But that is so weird. Doesn't that mean that the array list has to keep the allocator around forever? Isn't that just beyond inefficient? Can I look at the source? But it does do that. However, I do believe that there's also an unmanaged array list that does not keep the array. Yeah, right. Array list unmanaged. The allocator is part as a parameter. The same allocator must be used throughout the entire lifetime. Initialize directly and then dinit probably takes. Right. So this is what I want to do. I don't want to keep the allocator around forever because that's a pain and it's not scalable. We are going to have thousands of these tokens. So I want an array list that is unmanaged. Unmanaged. And then if we dinit, we can just self, which is pointed to self. And the allocator should be an const allocator equal std.mem.allocator. I really like the way Zig handles imports. I mean, the allocator is probably not a very large object, otherwise they wouldn't have done it for the array list, but still not something that we want to keep around forever. Okay, so we do need to deallocate the name. And how do we do that again? With allocator.free, right. Allocator.free the name. And then attributes.dinit allocator. Okay. And now if I call example token.dinit with the GPA, it doesn't work because I'm calling it on this thing, so I need to function dinit. I'm probably going to use the same allocator throughout the entire lifetime of the program, so it's not something that I will worry about right now. And then if we have a tag, then I want to call this the allocate function, and I suppose I can write one for debug type as well. After all, it's not too different. But these ones can actually be null, in which case there's no memory allocated for them. I guess if they're empty, there's no memory allocated either, but if they are null, then we shouldn't call allocate at all. So how do Zig options work again? I do know that there was a really nice way they handled those. Options, the optional type. Right, with the question mark. Or else return null. Right. So if we have a self.name, then we want to free that name. We want to do allocator free name. And then the same for the others. If there is a public identifier, if there's a system identifier, And we don't have any attributes for this one. So I think this should be correct. So how do I switch on a tagged union? Okay, it's quite simple. We just do switch self, and then if it is a token tag, we do switch on a tag, right? If it is a token tag dot doc type, then we take doc type doc type dot init allocator. If it is a token tag dot tag, then we deallocate that as well. Tag dot init allocator. And if it's anything else, then alright, we do also need to deallocate the comment. So if it's a token tag dot comment, then I do want to do allocator dot free comment. And otherwise, is there some default? How does switch work? Right, there's else, and else I just want to do nothing. Can I do it like this? Expected return type expression found nothing. Okay, where do we need a return type expression? In all of these, and we want to return void, because we don't really want to return anything from them. Those are free functions. Expected, okay, so I can't do that. I suppose then I'll have to do this, even though it's not as pretty. Use of undeclared identifier self. This is self. I really like these add functions. Well, I think Zig has some really, really nice ideas, which is quite surprising because it's such a new language. But it does some things in really interesting ways, which I haven't seen before. 47. Of course, I want to free self.name. Use of undeclared. I want to self.attributes, of course. Expected type array list unmanaged. Found. Right, I do also need to construct an array list unmanaged. Has no member in it because I don't. Right, whenever I push to it, I want to pass the allocator, but I don't need to pass the allocator initially because initially it's an empty list and an empty list doesn't allocate. Found type. Okay, but how do I create one then? List unmanaged. I really don't like the search behavior in a doc syntax. I can't quite put my finger on why I don't like it. Oh, with init capacity. How do I create this? Don't want to initialize with a certain capacity. I just want to get a value. That can be empty for all I care. Not clear and free. It says initialize directly. Or with init capacity. What does it mean to initialize directly? Oh wait, does it just mean that I should put these parentheses around it, the same way I did up here in the general purpose allocator maybe. Yeah, that is so cool. I love that. Expected type token, found token.token tag. But I expected a token pointer, but did I do something wrong? Tagged union. Oh, does that? I think I have to specify that the end of files should be void. Doesn't change anything. Switch C. That is so weird. Token tag.doctype. Expected a pointer to a token. Alright, I suppose I don't want a pointer, I want the actual thing. So can I dereference it? Expected type. Can I tell it to not take a pointer? But how do I zig switch on tagged union? The type system in zig takes a bit to get used to. What's a packed union? Oh, just the relevant memory layout. Sure. Without specifying the type. But why does it expect? I'm just gonna try around a bit. Take a reference. Does not work. Oh, I remember. You dereference like this. Doesn't work. Right, of course I need to dereference it because it's a pointer I can't match on a pointer. Okay, that was just me being stupid. And all of these should also take const self because we're not going to modify self, we're going to free it. So it's garbage afterwards anyways. Expected type ArrayList unmanaged, found const ArrayList unmanaged. Oh, so you do actually want to modify the array list. Sure, so I guess it can't be const. And then all of these can't be const. Actually the doc type can be const, but the rest cannot be const. Expected type token tag found const. But why are you const in the first place? I'm pretty sure I told you to not be const. What parameter does the array list take? It takes a pointer to self. Okay, sure. And then found a const pointer. But why is this a const pointer? But it should be easy enough, right? Why are you a const pointer? I don't understand. Did I make this a const? No, you're a variable. So maybe this is. This one is a variable. I'm quite confused. Tag.dinit, and the dinit function takes a pointer to self. But for some reason we give it a const pointer. But why are you a const pointer? Where's the const coming from? Cast discards const qualifier. Let's just play around a little and see if we get anything useful. Cannot dereference, of course. Oh, so you're not even a pointer at all. So tag is not a pointer. But tag explicitly does not take a const pointer. That's in line 46. Cast discards const qualifier. Seek const I guess I can't do this because that would violate memory safety, but I just want to learn a bit more about the pointers. But I don't. I don't understand. Do I need to take a reference, maybe? Expected type. Okay, so if I give it a but this line, the attributes, that wants something that isn't const, because it modifies itself apparently, right? If I look up the array list unmanaged, dinit, that just takes a pointer. So this one is fine, and this one is fine. So where's the const coming from? s equals self dot. So let's make it explicitly variable. Still the same error. Can I do something like var tag in here? Expect an identifier from. Oh, okay, so that doesn't work. Release all allocated memory. Right. assert values 42. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's more information in the switch. Not really. Self is not const, right? Expected type const found token. Oh. So can I not mutate anything inside one of these switch blocks? But why would that be the case? So can I do self.take to deem it? Unused capture, yeah, that's okay. Please tell me that I can prefix it with an underscore at least, and it can shut up about it, right? Oh, for fuck's sake. Can I remove it entirely? Expected type const token found token. Okay, so it's still erroring out about the %. Expected type token. All right, I need to dereference it again. Self.tag. So apparently we still leak some memory. Oh no, we get a segmentation fault. Oh, do I de-initialize it? Yeah, I de-init it before I printed. Okay, that's quite stupid of me. Name equals. Okay. And can I maybe make a custom format implementation for the token? Because I would like these to be printed as strings. Sig debug format implementation. The current way to implement them is in the form self, comp time format. would like to... Alright, there's an example here. Nice. If format.len is greater than 0, then if it is 1... Wait, what? What is format? Format is this the string? Oh, format is the string inside the brackets. Okay, that's quite nice actually. I can see why they did the bracket thing as well. Turn std format. Cool. I can work with that. That's quite nice. And format context errors. What's the signature of std format? std.format. Writer any type content. Renders format with arguments, calling writer with slices of bytes. Okay. Then I write to the context. But errors is compile time type. Oh, it's from 2018. Oh no. Sig custom debug representation for struct. Okay, the format source code is apparently nice. Note that most of the parameters are optional. If a formatted user type contains a function of the type format, blah blah blah, then with question mark being the type formatted, this function will be called instead of the default implementation. That's nice. I want that. I want that for my token. Please give me. Gimme. Okay, so let's add a debug implementation. I mean, this is basically what the Rust debug trait does, right? So we have a value which is of course a reference to self. And then so for now, I guess we won't accept any arguments. It's just for debugging anyways, so there's you can't specify any format stuff. Okay. How did he do it in this example? Format.len 0 return context errors output. I'm quite confused. So this is if there are no format arguments, okay? And then with PD you can get point.dimension format. Okay. Reasonable, but what do I do if so he just does unreachable. Oh no, that's quite ugly. But it's fine, I guess. In Zig, do I need parentheses around ifs in Zig? I'm not sure. I think I do, so I'll just leave them there for now. If format.len is not equal 0, then I want to unreachable. It has to be 0. And then I want to return std.format, and I want to format into the content. These are the format arguments. These are the options. I'm going to ignore the options for now. So I want to do this into the writer, I guess. Then let's say if self.is opening, then if self.is closing, I mean, the only thing that I really want to do is the name, right? I only really care about the name. How do I do this in a nice way? I can do it like this. No, actually, I shouldn't do that. I should just I want it to be close to the actual debug implementation. So what does it look like? Token of dot name equals s dot attributes and then dot self closing and dot self dot is opening this, and then I want the token name should be self.name, and that should be formatted as a string, and the rest can just be defaults or self attributes, self closing. I guess it should be is self closing. Is self closing. And then self.is opening. Right. I think I can do it like this. I mean, let's just see, I guess. One error, of course. Use of undeclared identifier self. Right, you shouldn't be value. Who calls it value? You should be self. Unused function parameter. Options, I don't care about the options. Self dot this is in line 23 is self closing. Expected 3 arguments, found 6. Alright, I need to put these into a struct. Like this. Into an anonymous struct, and now it should work. Invalid format string dot name equals. Oh, I need to escape it. I need to escape it. Is it broken now? Invalid escape character. Okay, this is a bit stupid. Can I put double brackets? expected type token tag found const token. You can be const. I'm not going to modify you. Not at all. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Is self-closing false, is opening true. That's quite nice. I like this. And of course, we could do something similar for the attributes. And I suppose we should actually do something like that for the doc type token as well. Okay, I'm starting to understand why people say that it's easier to code this stuff in Rust. But I do also have to admit that it's really pleasant to do it like this. So I have the public identifier, which is also a string. Then I have the system identifier, which is also a string, coincidentally. And the last one is for squirks, that's just a boolean. For squirks. Okay. Oh, can I just put self in here? Self. Does that work? It should, right? It should. Because I'm basically recreating the entire struct in here. Like this is the same struct as this. Oh, I really like this. Okay, so let's test it. Does not work. Expected tuple or struct argument. Found const token doc type. But you are a struct, right? Do I need to dereference it? I can dereference. I love this. I love Zig. Zig is the greatest language ever created. I'm kidding, of course. Zig is quite nice, but not just because of this. Cannot format optional without specifier. All right. So I would like you to oh, that's quite annoying. That's quite unfortunate. Cannot format optional without specifier. Wait, can I please say that I can combine these specifiers like this? Let's just get rid of these for now. I only want to debug the first one. Can you do it like this? Cannot format slice without a specifier. Who is trying to format a slice without a specifier? I would never do such a thing. Oh, it's actually asking me to do it in here, right? Cannot format. Who is trying to format an optional without a specifier? Who is trying to do that? What maniac would do such a thing? Okay, here's one really annoying thing about Zig. Oh, never mind. It does actually tell me where the error is originating from, which is this line. Let's put everything in here on another line, just to be safe. I can do plus plus and then this. Does this work? I was told I could concatenate strings like this. I was lied to. Okay, but actually I would kind of like to have this on separate lines. I mean, surely there's a multi-line string, right? No way. Sig multi-line string. Surely this is something that exists. Multi-line string literals. There we go. Multi-line string literals. There are no multi-line comments in Sig. Yeah, because no one needs those. No one ever needed multi-line. Multi-line string. Oh, wait. What? Huh? Why is a multi-line string the same as a comment? That's like the most confusing thing I've ever seen. The end. But why? I mean, it's really not like we ran out of characters. Why did they do that? That is such a weird way to do it. I genuinely can't think of a single reason right now why you would want to have your string be like this. Unless I'm reading it wrong, I guess. It's always possible. But to me, it sounds like this is what it should look like. Right? Can I not declare these inline? Expected. Yeah, but I'm so confused. Multi-line string literals have no escape and can span across multiple lines. To start a multi-line string, use the. Oh, I'm so stupid. Okay, never mind. I'm just an idiot. It's backslashes. it's not forward slashes. Still a really really weird way to do it. Okay. Cannot format optional without a specifier, and this panics in token 32. Okay, but I'm not trying to format it without a specifier, right? I'm trying to format with a specifier. Okay, can I just get rid of these for now? These are quite annoying, and because I never really know where the error is originating from. Self.name. There we go. Cannot format slice without a specifier. So, okay. And now it works. Okay, cool. That is really nice. I don't like the string literals. I don't like them one bit, but I do like the fact that I can format an optional string with $s. That is quite a nice way to do it. I approve. Let's add this back in. I can worry about formatting later. Actually, maybe I can just run sig format source token.sig. Okay, I'm not quite sure if this is a better way to format it. I want to get rid of the form string now anyways, because I really only needed the debug thing to tell me where the exact error was, which didn't work. But I did learn a bit about Sig multi-line strings, which I guess that's something, right? Okay, let's bring that back here. And now you should hopefully work. Expected expression. Do I have 2 commas now? And you can also go back here. It's quite a long line, but I don't care too much about code formatting right now. Let's run this, and cannot use, of course, I need to add the $s with the public identifier and the system identifier as well. Oh wow, Sig is really, it's pleasant to program in, but it can also be quite annoying at times. Okay, and now I would like token. And I also need this for a comment, right? Because I suppose I should make. Can I make a type alias? Suppose not. Just on the other hand, it might be nice to have a string type at some point. Programming with a C-like language for 3 minutes be like, I need my own string type. Okay, let's not care about comment types for now. They will be a bit rubbish when debug printed, but that's not the point right now. Okay, so we have a token type. And we don't have an easy way to construct them yet, but I'm not too worried about that. So maybe let's get started with the actual parsing. So let's maybe create a tokenizer. Source tokenizer. .zig. Let's import that in here. Tokenizer, import tokenizer.zig. The import system in Zig is so amazing. I just love it. Okay. As I've said before, the HTML tokenizer is basically one huge state machine. So let's start by modeling all the different states just as a huge enum. And let's zoom out a little. So these are all the states. You can see it's quite a lot. Okay, actually, maybe I shouldn't zoom out that far. Okay, I think this is the closest thing to a list that I have. So let's go with that then. Numeric. Yeah. Okay, how do I declare an enum in Zig? That should be easy. Const enum and then all the variants. Okay, cool. And enums in Zig are lowercase, right? Yeah. Pub const. Actually, it does need to be public because the HTML parser stage is at some point going to modify the tokenizer state while it is running it. So the HTML parser stack consists basically of a tokenizer that continuously emits these tokens. This is what we're writing today. And then there's also the actual parser, which is described in the rest of the document. And the parser can the parser controls the tokenizer, and the parser feeds the tokenizer the text, but it can also mess with the tokenizer a little. It can set certain attributes of the tokenizer and control it in some ways. But I don't think that's something that we have to worry about today, but I'm gonna make the tokenizer state public anyways. It doesn't hurt to be public, I guess. Const tokenizer. What's the naming convention for the enum name itself? I guess it's camel case. I like camel case either way. Equal enum. Okay. So now we have these lots of text that I need to format. Okay, first I can get rid of all the chapters because we don't care about. Oh wow, there's a lot of more than this than I thought. Okay, let's get rid of all the chapters then. Why are there spaces in here? Who cares? Okay, so first one is the data state, then there's the RC data state. I don't think I want the state postfix because every state ends with state, right? So it would all be tag open state and tag open state, but I can also just call them tag open and end tag open, and the enum name itself already implies that it's a state enum. So let's save those characters for now. Then I want the raw text, script. No, it's script data. Script data, plain text, tag open, end tag open, the tag name, RC data less then sign, RC data and tag open, data and tag name, raw text less than sign, raw text and tag open, raw text and tag name, and these are those ones, the first few. Okay, so now there's a bunch of script data stuff. Script data less than sign, script data and tag open, script data and tag name, script data escape start, no, don't want the state postfix. Escape start was the last one I did. Okay, cool. And script data escape start, nope, no caps lock, escape start dash state, nope, no state, and script data escaped, keep putting the state in there, script data escaped dash, script data escaped dash dash, data escaped less than sign. Okay, this is quite tedious. This is the really tedious part of the tokenizer. But trust me, this is nothing against implementing all of the actual states, the actual state behavior, because that's way more work. That takes hours. I mean, each state has like a little switch, and then of course some states behave differently than others. Not everyone is as simple as the data state, for example. But that is something that we can worry about when we get there. Script data escaped and tag open. Data escaped and tag name. Script data double escape start. Script data double escaped. Script double escaped dash. Script data double escaped dash dash. I don't even know what all of these states mean anymore. I knew at some point when I wrote my first tokenizer, but I don't anymore. I forgot all about it. Okay, and then there's the script data double escaped less than sign. Script data double escape and we're done with the script data, yeah. Before attribute name, attribute name, after attribute name, before attribute value, attribute value double quoted, attribute value single quoted, attribute value unquoted. If I think about it, it's taken me quite a while to get here, but I think most of that was just because I had to get back into writing Zig code. So I think it will be quite a bit faster from now on. And then the self-closing start tag, bogus comments, markup declaration, open, comment start. Oh, there's a billion comment states, of course, even though no one even needs HTML comments. Comment start dash comment less than sign, comment less than sign, bang, there's the bang dash. Then there's the bang dash dash, which is of course for the HTML comment, because HTML comments look like this. So then there's a less than sign, a bang, and 2 dashes if you want to close those. So that's 4 successive states just for an opening, for the opening tag of a comment. Quite complicated. Okay, then which ones did I do? I did all of these. Bang dash dash was the last one. Bang dash dash, I did that one. Okay, cool. Now that I think I deleted too much. Okay. Comment and dash. Comment and bang. And that's all the comment states. Okay, it wasn't quite as many comment states as I remember. Doc type. Before doc type name. Doc type name. After doc type name, and then after doc type public keyword. Doc type is quite complicated, and I think the doc type supports a lot of features that basically no one uses, like the public and the system identifier. I haven't really seen those anywhere. I mean, granted, I didn't look for them explicitly, and I guess they don't really notice them usually. But I can't remember ever seeing those used anywhere. Identifier, double quoted. Doc type, public identifier, single quoted. And then after doc type identifier. It's all of those. Then between doc type, public, and system identifiers. After doc type, system keyword state. Before doc type, system identifier state. And doc type, system identifier double quoted, and the same thing for single quoted. Single, nice. And another for done is the after doc type system identifier. Nope, no state postfix. Bogus doc type states cdata section, cdata section brackets, cdata section end. Yeah, right, all of those. Character reference state, the named character reference state, the ambiguous character reference state, the numeric character reference state, then the hexadecimal character reference state, decimal character reference. Oh, it has a start state. The hexadecimal character reference start state. Okay. Start state, and then the decimal character reference start state. Okay, next one is the hexamal. Oh, so now it's the non-start state, I guess. Oh, of course, the start state is probably the 0x, and then once we have read the 0x, then we transition into the hexadecimal non-start state. So now it's the decimal non-start state. And the numeric character reference end state. And that's it. Numeric character reference end state. Very cool. So you can see how this could take quite a while to implement. It's how many states is this? Like 79? 80? I don't know. Something around that. Okay. And now I should maybe create some sort of a wrapper around the reader function, because we're going to need to, for example, consume the next input character quite a lot of times. So it would be very nice if we had some sort of a reader that could just give us the next character, or maybe let us peek at the next n characters. And I'm not sure if Zig supports... Oh right, Zig does have a reader, right? There's something called a reader in the... Yeah, right, std.io reader. I'm not sure if that is exactly what it wants. It might not be, because it seems like it can error out, and since we are reading from memory, of course, we could never error out. But let's see. Read byte. Reads 1 byte from the stream. Oh, you can read integers and so on. That's quite nice. I mean, I guess it's okay to create our own reader for now. Yeah, I guess it's fine. It's fine. Let's first see if this even compiles what I've written. It might be complete garbage, but apparently it's not. Nice. Okay. So let's maybe create a helper reader module that we can then build out later. Source maybe reader.6 seems reasonable enough. Import that in main. Nope. Actually, I suppose we only really need it in the tokenizer. Let's import reader.sig. Then we want a part const reader. Okay, so what should the reader entail? I guess it's really just a fancy buffer around a... Actually, the way we do it in SIG is by having a reader function, right? And that then returns a type, I believe. Right? Let me think about this. Okay. So we should have a character, and that should be a type. In our case, it's a U8. And we have some source, which is a buffer of U8s. And I guess we don't want to own this. Or do we? I'm not quite sure. Can worry about that later. And yeah, I suppose that's good enough for now. Okay, so we want to build a struct that has the source. Of course, this should be character. And I think the convention is to have uppercase type names, which makes sense to distinguish them. I want dot source to be source, and dot pointer can be 0. And then I want to return that. Is that how it's done, the pattern in Zig? I think that's how you do it. Not quite sure. Either way, I can just implement a test function like pub function next character, and then, oh, of course I need self equal at this. This is quite nice, but it's a bit annoying that you have to type it out every time you create a new struct. But I do understand that Zig doesn't like doing things implicitly. Understandable, to be honest. Okay. So next character, and we want to take self, and that should be mutable reference to ourselves. And we return an optional of character. Namely, we say const char equals self dot source of character of self dot pointer. Does the plus plus syntax exist in Zig? So could I say self dot pointer plus plus? I'm not sure. Too lazy to look it up right now, so I'll just, I guess I can try it out. Nah, let's just do plus equals 1. I'm not too big of a fan of the plus plus syntax anyways. Return character char. Okay. So now I want to create some sort of tokenizer struct. And the tokenizer struct, it has a reader. I mean, I think I should maybe keep it simple for now. I mean, I can refactor this later, but right now I'm not too deep into Zig. It's only been a few hours since I've started programming again, so maybe I should keep it simple and not have this be a function. Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous, really. So let's just make this a regular enum. Please unindent yourself. Thanks you. Const reader equal struct. You are just a slice of U8s, and then you are going to also. There we go. Nice. Okay, and then I want the reader to be reader dot. Actually, I guess if we only export the single type, we can do it like this. The reader, and then we want a pop function new, and with new we give it a source, which is just bytes, and it returns self, which of course we need to define. Okay, so self and dot reader is a reader with dot source equal to source and dot pointer equal to 0. And then we need a next token. No, the next token function is actually higher level. Let's just create a step function that takes self, pointer to self. And then this may or may not return a token. Yes, it might return a token, but it might also not return a token. Because if you look at the steps here, some of them emit tokens. Some of them even emit multiple tokens, I think. But not all of them do. Some of them just switch to another state or set some return state and switch to another state. Not all of them actually emit any tokens. And I do believe that there's a way for the tokenizer to emit multiple tokens at once. For example, if you've started parsing a comment tag and then at the very end you notice, oh, it's not actually a comment tag. For example, if it looks something like maybe this. This looks a lot like a comment tag, so it would read the first 3 characters, and then at the end it would notice, oh no, this isn't actually a comment tag, it's just text, I should display it as text, and then it would emit all of these characters at once. That is something that I think we should worry about when we get there. For now, I'll just make it sometimes return a token. I mean, ultimately, we might want to run this in a loop and not always call step to avoid the overhead of function calls, but really this is kind of over-optimizing for now. So let's import the token type. Token.zig. And we will return token, or we might not do that. And for now, let's just debug print the next character. Self.reader.next character. And this can be null, so let's treat it as such. Okay, and then let's return null, because we're not going to produce any tokens for now. And now finally inside main.zig I should be able to, actually let's first remove this code because this was just for debugging. And then I also don't need to de-init it. Okay. So now I should be able to create a tokenizer. Yeah. I should be able to create a tokenizer and run it a little. Okay, so var tokenizer equal tokenizer. This is something that I'm probably just not aware of some naming convention, but right now I have a file called tokenizer.zig, the module is called tokenizer, then I have the struct which is called capitalized tokenizer, and the instantialized variable is called lowercase tokenizer again, so it's kind of a mess. There's probably some nice convention that the Zig guys have thought of that I'm just not aware of, but I'm just gonna do it like this for now, it works fine for me. Var tokenizer equal tokenizer dot new from the HTML source, and then I would like to print the next token. I can print the source first, and I want to print you, but you're an optional, and tokenizer dot step. Okay, you're not going to work. Local variable shadows declaration. Yeah, right, that's what I meant. That's a bit annoying. Let's actually move this up here. source every time. Okay, how do I do this? I want to create a variable that's called the tokenizer. I mean, can I just import the file multiple times? What's the convention on this? Maybe I should just call it like mod token, mod tokenizer. It's not super pretty, but I suppose it works fine for now. To be honest, I don't really like that. Expected function or variable. Right, I did the Rust syntax, which is not correct. Equals struct, because you declare structs like this, which is honestly really nice once you get used to it, but it does take some getting used to. Expected return type expression. Oh, this is also the Rust syntax. I'm too used to writing Rust at this point, probably. Not really nice. Though I do think it would be nice if you were allowed to put the arrow there. 98. Expected. Oh, of course, I need to actually return this. This is also Rust syntax. I've written way too much Rust recently. Use of undeclared identifier standard. I can fix that. Import standard. There we go. Expected return type. Oh, this is also the Rust syntax. Yeah, like I said, it's just going to take me a while to get used to writing Zig code again, because Zig is syntactically quite special. They do things in their own way. Tuple declarations cannot contain declarations, but I'm not trying to make that, to do that. We're inside the reader. Tuple declarations. But why is this different than what I've done here, for example? I don't understand. Tuple declare, but I'm not trying to declare tuple. Oh, of course, you should. This is just terrible, just not correct, syntactically precise. Reader is not marked public. I can fix that. There you go. You shall access the pointer. And we are inside. Yeah, it would be nice to really see the backtrace a bit more. I mean, I'm not calling printf in that many places. Oh, of course, you are. Can I make you a C? Can you print characters? Nice. Okay, so this is the next character, and this is the okay. And what if I print multiple next characters? Very nice. Cool. So our reader works now. And at this point, I think we are ready to just implement the first state, right? So how do I switch on enums? I mean, I just feel like I'm learning programming again, but it's really just syntax. Okay, exhaustive switching. It's going to warn us if we don't handle all the possibilities, but of course we can't implement it all at once. So we're going to make a default case. Switch self. Oh, the tokenizer needs a state, of course. State tokenizer state. Right. And the initial state is the state equal tokenizer state dot data state. Right. Self dot state. And then this can be the tokenizer state.data state, in which case is this syntax okay? And otherwise we just want to do nothing for now. Right. And then something that I've gotten, I don't know if I want to add spec comments on the first run immediately, because I might refactor this a lot. So let's not add spec comments for now. I can do that later. In the previous browser engine that I wrote, I added spec comments basically everywhere, just to make it really obvious that I have read the spec, and in case the spec changes, it would be really obvious to everyone what would need to be changed about the code. I can just quickly show you what that looks like. In HTML source tokenizer, there is. Here, I would basically comment every single line, and I would comment every single instruction and links to the algorithms, and basically half the text in here is just comments. But it is unironically really, really useful. Okay. Doesn't Zig have a character? Now that I think about it, doesn't Zig have a character type? Primitive types? It does not. It basically only has, it has F80, 80-bit. Oh, I have never seen that before. That's quite fun. Primitive types. Okay. So first step is that I want to consume the next input character and then check what it is. So switch self.reader. What was the function called? Next character. Next character. Okay, and now I would like this. Can I do this? I mean, this would be really cool. I probably can. Yeah, right. I think that I can even do that in C. I haven't programmed that much C, so I'm not too familiar with it. Set the return. Okay, actually, never mind. I'm going to add the comments immediately because it's just going to be too confusing to do it later. Set the return state to the data state. Right, the return state is, I think, something that is used by some algorithms for the tokenizer to return there at some point. Return, that was a great explanation. And this can be unset, tokenizer state. And in the beginning, I do want this to be null. Return state equal null. Okay. Self.return state equals tokenizer state dot data state. And then I want to switch to the character reference state. And something that will probably be useful. I'm thinking about whether I should create a separate switch to function, because a lot of these algorithms are going to switch to different state, of course. And if I only assign to the internal tokenizer state here, then I might not be able to debug it as easily as if I have a separate function that's always called when we switch a state, because then I could just add a log statement inside that function. But I think I'm not going to do that because I did it in the other implementation that I wrote last year. And I think it turned out to be not that useful, not that important. And in the end, I can always just like log here which state we're in, and it's not going to take me that long to debug it. So I'm not going to do it for now. I might regret this, but I'm not going to do it for now. And then self.state is the tokenizer state.character reference state. Yeah, you see, now we're going into the character reference, through all of these different character reference states. And once that algorithm returns, it's going to take the return state. So that's why we have to set it here. It's kind of makes sense. Okay, then the next one is the less than sign. Less than is this one? Yeah, it's this one. Okay, I never remember the orientation and which one is greater than or smaller than. Switch to the tag open state. Nice. I'm going to do that. Self.state equal tokenizer state.tag open. Next one is null. Can I do \x00? Oh, I can do that. That is very cool. I'm not sure why I would encounter null, but sure. Emit the current input character as a character token. Sure, I guess. But why would I do that? Oh, right. I can do this a bit better. The step function, this one doesn't return tokens at all. Instead, there's an internal emit function that I can call, and that can emit tokens for me. Is this a good way to do it? Yeah, I think it's good enough for now. I don't need to over-engineer this. I can always refactor it later. Token is the... What did I call this? Oof. Token is the token. And this returns void. And the tokens can contain strings. So I'm going to deinitialize them in here. Defer, deinit. Token.deinit std debug print. There we go. I think that should do the job. And then I can just call self.emit token.character. How do I construct such a union again? I'm just learning so much syntax today. Token. Okay, so it's token dot character. I suppose I should make it lowercase, right? Because yeah, enums are supposed to be lowercase. Doc type tag. The same down here. Doc type tag comments character end doc type. I think I should write this together. I keep struggling with it, but I think there should be no underscore between the two parts. Okay. Dot character equal 0. And what's the last option? Oh, there's actually still some more. The pattern matching is not that great. Can I switch option? Zig switch optional type. Okay, so I kind of need to do it a bit more carefully. So let const this should go in here, of course. Const c equal self.reader.next character. And then if c character, then this switch, and then I switch the character. But if it is null, then the naming scheme right now is not that great, but that's because I don't know how to name a lot of things in Zig. So this would be the end of file. Emit an end of file token. Emit token dot end of file. Okay, and anything else? Emit the current input character as a character token. Self.emit token emit dot character equal character. Wonderful. So that is our first state. Let's see if we can run this. Expected comma after switch prompt 125. Of course, there should be a comma here. Use of undeclared identifier token. I mean, for the tokenizer, do I care about anything except the token? I do, I think. But I can just do const token equal. I can do this like mod token again, and then token is mod token dot token, right? And then in here I also don't should take token dot token anymore. Cool. Data state. Why is there no data state? Oh, of course, because it's not called the data state. It's just called data. Perhaps I should have kept the postfix. Nah, not really. Not really. 102 is still right. There is no data state. Character reference. Why is there no character reference state? There should be a character reference state. I am very confident that there should be a character reference state. Let's see. Character reference. It's probably down here. Yeah, character reference date under the CData section end. Oh, I added the state variables here. Oh, the postfix. Oh well, can't do anything about it. Force of habit. I guess this will happen. It will happen a bit more often. But I do think that it would be ridiculous to have a type, an enum called Tokenizer state, and then each variant has the postfix state again. That would just be redundant. I don't want that. Numeric character reference. There should be a numeric character reference and a numeric character reference, and this is not the end. There's the end. Okay, no field or member emit in, of course, because this is should be allocate self. I mean, I probably need to replace this with a better system at some point. Not even sure how I did it in the other tokenizer that I wrote. Does not support array initialization syntax. I'm not trying to initialize an array. Is that... It's just complaining about the end of file though. Oh, it's not struct, it's just token dot end of file. There we go. Expected type void, found type of null. 149 in the tokenizer. This doesn't belong here. Member function expected to 1 argument, of course, because the tokenizer deallocates. So we need an allocator. Const allocator, to keep all the standard stuff up here. At std.mem.allocator. And then we need an allocator here. This can take the allocator to deallocate it with this allocator. And then the emit stuff should take the allocator. This one as well. Very nice. Tokenizer.step, of course, I need to adjust this in main to give it the allocator. Use of course, this is a GPA, not the allocator, because Toml want to be allocator specific. Expected type token found const. This is really annoying me now. This is seriously annoying me now. It's better like this. Expected type token. So does it work if I do this? If I just give it a pointer? Very annoying. Very, very annoying. I'll fix the other error first. expected tuple or struct argument. So, of course, I know what. Actually, I don't know why that is the case. Why are you complaining about that, huh? Because this is a void type, and we don't actually need this anymore. You can just call tokenizer step without the print. Because tokenizer step doesn't instantly return. It calls its own emit function, and that one then logs. And then the next error, Sig19. Huh? But Sig19 doesn't. Expected tuple or struct argument. Huh. So this is quite annoying. I'll read a bit about data types, because I'm not quite sure that I correctly understand what they are. For example, undefined is. Oh, okay. Type what's type is not So I suppose, like in C, star int would be a pointer to an int, right? But then what is the difference? Is star constant would be a pointer to an int that is immutable, I suppose? And the copy is available in the function body. Here, point could be a reference or a copy. Okay. Function parameter type inference can be. Okay. So I'm not quite sure I'm doing this right. I want to de-initialize the token. And for that to happen, I do need a mutable reference to the token. Because the token might contain attributes, and the attributes are an array list, and array lists need to be mutable when I de-initialize them. Okay, but why? Okay, so then the question becomes, how do I create these? Character equals 0. Can I just take the reference? Now it's okay. why is it const now? Type coercion. Non-const is allowed. Values which have the same representation at runtime can be cast to increase the strictness of qualifiers, no matter how nested the qualifiers are. Non-const, const is allowed. Okay, but why cannot just take the address of this and call it a day? I guess I need to read a bit about pointers. Pointers. Single item to exactly one item. Many item pointer to unknown number of items. Use AND-X to obtain a single item pointer. Right, that is what I'm doing. Okay, but okay, but I just want to take a pointer to this thing that I just created on the stack. And the allocator is not going to use it, I know that. But I need a reference to it. Self. So this is now expected type token, and we now have a const token. Cast discards const qualifier. Parameter type discard. Cast discards const qualifier. Okay, so I guess I can cast it. Oh no, the error message is that I am discarding the const qualifier. Okay, but why are you constant? You don't need to be. Sig get non-const pointer to var. Yes, I know what the pointer is. Thank you. So this is the part where that changes. Whenever you see const in a sig type, it means that whatever comes next can't be changed. So a slice of declares means that slice itself can change. are always implicitly const. There's no way to make them var. Consider the following 3 tests. But because a is const when it's multiplied by 2. It's different. Wait, okay, I first need to understand this. We have a times 2 function that multiplies a by 2, and a is the parameter, the a is immutable. So this is ab, then, okay, then we assign b to a. It's all in the definition of times 2, but if we had tried to return a that function, the compiler would have spat out I can't assign to constant. Right. Its argument, let's write a function. Right. This function has some problems. First, that it doubles the amount of memory required by the array. Even if we're never going to use the unreversed version of the array again, it's still there. It can just accept a slice, reverse the slice in place, and return a void. Okay, but this accepts the slice, and the slice is a pointer, sure. But this doesn't answer my question of how do I get a non-const thing there. Can I do something like var t equals this token? And then would it even be illegal to cast this to a const? Oh, so this actually works. Parameter type declarative. Okay. Okay, and can I make it maybe like at var? Does this work? I mean, there has to be an inline syntax for this, right? There's no way that you... Vim is very fun. Okay. This probably doesn't work. It doesn't look like it would work. It would be kind of ugly if it worked. Expected prefix expression. Okay, so there's just no way to do that. Huh. I mean, there probably is a way that I'm just not aware of, which, honestly, fair. I don't know that much about Zig. I'm not going to go and shit on the language for this, because it's probably just me being silly. But this does seem a bit annoying. Yeah, it does seem a tiny bit ridiculous. But I can live with it for now. I mean, it's not that bad. What did I just do? Not sure, but there we go. Still getting used to Vim 2. I've used Sublime, not Sublime, VS Code for quite a while now. Then we want to submit this token as well. Please work. You don't work. Okay. Expected found. So we found a token tag. Who is trying to emit a token tag? Expected. Wait, what? In line 150. But this is not a token tag type. Yes, it can. Am I doing something wrong about initializing the struct? Maybe. Complex type dot not okay. That's a unit, sort of a unit type. Oh, actually, can I can probably skip this, right? I can probably just. I mean, no, it's not good to debug it while I have other errors, but still. Okay, so I have two errors that I basically don't understand for now. Not quite sure how to handle this, to be honest. Yeah, I might want to look this up off camera. I mean, it's complaining that I am passing a token tag to a function that expects a token, right? But it is not a token tag. It is a token. I'm constructing it like a line on the previous line. This is quite annoying. Quite annoying. Yeah. I might just call it a day now. Look this up off camera and then maybe continue tomorrow or later. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So, I hope you kind of enjoyed this coding session. Hope you learned something new maybe. It was quite fun for me getting back into Zig, seeing how they do things, because I'm really used to coding a lot of Rust, and Zig has quite a different mindset, but a similar goal in terms of safety. It's not as strict about memory safety, but the idea is to improve upon C, and I think they do quite a good job at it. Something that I'll definitely have to look up is how to probably declare these modules, or rather what the naming convention for those is, because I'm sure they have some stuff figured out for that and I'm just unaware of it. Oh well, I guess that's it. See you later.